Rolling.
What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. And if you're listening, thank you for listening. You're probably listening on iTunes, Spotify, Omni Studio, allthingscomedy.com. And if you listen at allthingscomedy.com, check out all the other comics there that have podcasts there. Bill Burr has one, Bert Kreischer, and the list goes on. Some of the top comics in the country, definitely on the West Coast. So check out allthingscomedy.com. And our sponsor is On The Volley apparel.com. And if you go to onthevolleyapparel.com, they have tanks, hoodies, t-shirts, and sweatshirts with soccer, hip hop logos on the front. We also have our own merch there, so check that out. And yeah, we got a lot of stuff to cover. We got the League Cup final, Chelsea versus Liverpool, and that going to penalties. We got Everton versus Man City, and man, was City lucky as hell in that one. We got some Abramovich stuff, and and some FA Cup stuff, especially Tottenham losing to Middlesbrough. We'll definitely get into that. And so thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. And want to introduce two of the usual suspects. We got Neil Chakravarty from San Diego, by way of India, Chelsea fan, comic, and we're gonna be asking Neil a lot of questions about his feelings about what's going on. We're gonna Tuchel the shit out of him.
Guys, listen. Honestly, you cannot keep asking me the same question.
I know he's breaking. Oh man, and journalists, they're already assholes. You know what I mean? And it's like, hey man, I'm just a coach, bro. I'm just a coach that happens to be the coach of this team.
I just feel like it's so rare to there's only that many questions you can fit into a press con. Why do you just keep asking something that's already been answered?
Yeah, they start getting to personal shit. He's like, I'm not a politician. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Trevor Chalobah had penis surgery. Nobody asked him about that in the middle of the game.
What?
He had a penis surgery almost. He got the knock he took from Keita.
Oh, okay.
He had to it was literally that close to his penis. And he had to literally have 6 stitches back in the dressing room.
In his penis?
Yeah, I mean, very close at least.
And he went back into the game?
He played, no, the stitches were afterwards, but he played the entire 120 minutes with that injury, took the penalty.
Damn, man, if that ain't he's a G. Yeah, you can get rid of Rudiger. You're good. Yeah, he'll do it. That's a captain. That's a future captain.
If he plays with his dick hanging off, then yeah.
I mean, I couldn't do anything with my dick hanging off. Not even have it start hanging off.
Yeah. Not even have the stitches. Yeah.
I couldn't. Jesus. All right. Going to introduce also Lee Hudson, and stand-up comic from England, Southampton fan, and also want to just shout out to Aaron Brungardt for producing the podcast. And what's up, Lee?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm loving life. I was at the Southampton game on Friday night against Norwich. Another win. I'm still unbeaten for live games this season. So,
how many live games are left?
I haven't got any tickets for any more at the moment, but I've been to 4 games this season. We've won 3, drew 1.
Oh, so that's great.
You have to go.
Yeah.
You have to.
Well, not anymore. I mean, we're safe now.
That's all you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain teams, they used to get the 40 points and then take their foot off the gas and put the rest of the season in cruise control. So is that what you're doing?
Yeah, we're on 35 with 12 games left, so we're good.
Yeah, you can draw 6 and be good. But don't you want to see how good you could be? And don't you want to see how good you could be and then be super optimistic, overly optimistic for next season. We're going to top 4, and then blow those expectations early.
No, we need to sandbag now so that we keep our players for next season. We need to. We need the form. We need the form to dip.
Yeah, you need to worry about keeping your coach, and not just the players, everybody. So I guess the first game we're going to talk about is the League Cup final. Great game on, was it Sunday? And Neil, your team was involved. How do you feel about the game and how it went down? Penalty shootouts and Harry Redknapp saying Tuchel shouldn't have changed the keeper. Like, yeah, all right, Harry.
Jamie Redknapp, you mean?
Jamie Redknapp.
Might well have been Harry.
Yeah.
Those are some dinosaur opinions. It might also have been Harry. No, I mean, devastated by the result, but that was a really tough one to take.
It was?
Because you know, last year we lost the FA Cup final to Leicester. I don't think we played that well in that game, but I thought we pretty much practically ticked every box off in this game to keep that. You see the kind of form this Liverpool attack is in the last couple of months. To keep them, relatively silent and I mean, we created so many chances. We just can't finish, and when we finish, it's offside. It's just crazy. But I'm really very happy with the way the team played. I think it's been since December, we've never really had a string of really strong performances. But I think that Tottenham game just before the break, and then Club World Cup, the Crystal Palace, Lille. Now we finally I feel like there's some form coming back into the team, and I think everybody except maybe Mason Mount had a really good game.
You don't think Mount had a good game? I like the way Pulisic played.
I like the way Pulisic played too, but again, he missed a good chance. Mount missed, that's criminal, by the two Mount missed.
I know. Pulisic went out to him, pulled the table out from underneath the chair, put the napkin in his lap, tied it, tucked it in, put the food on the plate, and he just knocked it off the table. Yeah,
it was. And this keeps happening, right? Like even we won the Champions League, but if you remember the way that final went, in the first 20 minutes, there were chances to literally go 2 or 3-0 up. That should have been the game. Instead, we were hanging on to a slender lead, and anything could have happened, right? When you're playing the margin so closely. So that was really disappointing. But I thought the front line, apart from the actual finishing, they had a really good game. The combinations were really good. Even later on when Lukaku and Werner came up, I thought Lukaku had probably his best game since that interview.
I know he had 8 touches.
He had 8 touches. I think he gave the defenders a tough time. He was actually moving. The biggest criticism, even more than the goals of Lukaku, has been that he's just looked lost. He's looked isolated on the pitch every time he's come on. But I thought this game he was he was at the halfway line. He was helping out in defense. He was linking up play, laying the ball off, and he should have had that goal. The other offsides, the Havertz offside, okay, fine, I get it. But the Lukaku offside, I've seen every frame. I've seen
I question that offside.
I don't even after seeing the lines, I don't understand how is that offside.
Yeah. It looks like let's figure out a way to make this offside. And I'm not
even with the lines, I feel but he's onside. Isn't that what the lines are saying?
Yeah. So, I agree with you. I still don't understand. It feels like there's VAR corruption right in our face and nobody's saying anything. It's even when you go to the City Everton game this weekend, and we'll get into that. They offered an apology and we'll get into that, but it's
I wouldn't be surprised if there's an apology coming on this one too.
Yeah. This is more onside than off. Obviously I thought it was an offside at first because it's Lukaku involved. I was like, yeah, he's off. But once they started drawing the lines, I was like, wait a minute, no, he's on. So that was kind of weird.
And that would have completely changed the narrative of his season. A cup winner with the kind of time he's been having the last couple of months. There's potential there to really change his whole season almost. But But it was good to see, like, we will need him. Like, if you want to do anything this season, finish strongly, we will need a firing Romelu Lukaku. And so I think that was good. I think tactically we got it. Tuchel got it spot on. You really can't do much. Like, Mendy had a great game. I think Chalobah had a rough first 45 minutes against Diaz. And Luis Diaz, I think he looks a special player.
Yeah, he's special. But I think like there was a first encounter where Diaz got the better of him, but then sometimes you need like a second to figure somebody out, and you hope in those few seconds they don't score on you 3 times. And he did get around him. I think got a shot off or a pass off. But after that,
I think the good thing Chalobah did was, even though it was tough to like keep pace with Diaz, he never showed him inside. So all he could do was try and make a pass, or the one shot he got off, which Mendy saved. Right. So when it goes down to 10-10 on penalties and your keeper misses, you really can't, like, there's not a lot.
We'll go back to the Kepa thing. I just want to hear how Lee feels about Chelsea losing the League Cup final, dropping a trophy.
It's crazy though, because Wembley used to be our hunting ground, but now we've lost 4 finals in 4 seasons, 5 and 6.
Yeah, that's some Spurs numbers right there.
Yeah, well, Spurs never get to the final. They prefer losing out in the semi-final. But
in the semifinals,
I get your point.
Yeah, don't they do the semifinals at the Wembley sometimes? Or no?
I think when Spurs were playing in Wembley, we beat them 4-2 in the semi-final, and when Jermaine Jonas tried to really convince everybody in the studio that Spurs played well, and Alan Shearer really completely cut his ears off.
Hilarious. Lee, what did you think of this game?
As a neutral, I really enjoyed it. Like, I thought it was a really high quality game of football.
Yeah, you stole my words.
Like, just 2 like really elite level teams having a good game. Like, tactically really interesting. And yeah, I thought, Chelsea could have done some stuff, like Pulisic with that early chance should have finished. I thought the Liverpool keeper had a really good game, Keller, but that one should have been finished off. Unlucky with the offside goal. Although I thought the Liverpool goal that was ruled out was slightly harsh as well, with the Van Dijk interference.
Oh yeah, the corner. They said, Matt was. Yeah, they said Matip was offside and kind of blocked him off, off the defender.
Matip scored, but Van Dijk was offside.
Yeah, Matip scored, and Van Dijk was the one who was called. Those sort of things are unlucky, but it was, like I said, it was a really good battle to watch. And then when it goes to penalties, you can't really, it is what it is. It's crazy that everyone was scoring, and it's got all the way down to the last one. We saw that with United in that final against Villarreal. As well, reminded me of that. Like, there were some really good penalties there.
Now Chelsea knows how we feel.
Yeah, you both got cost by a Spanish goalkeeper.
Well, let me ask you a question, right? So now the question just left me. But all right, so here's a question. Liverpool's number 1 goalkeeper, right? It's Alisson, right? He was sitting on the bench. Was he injured?
No, they committed to playing Keller for all their League Cup games, including even if they got to the final.
So that's my thing. Like, so everybody's like, they shouldn't have changed their goalkeeper, and they keep focusing on Kepa coming in before the end of the game to be ready for the penalty shootout. But it's like, it's all hindsight Monday morning quarterback stuff, because nobody's saying anything about the big chance of keeping Keller in goal for the entire final, when every other coach would switch back to their number 1, who's probably the number 1 goalkeeper in the world, Alisson, sitting on the bench for the final. So it's like so because Liverpool won and the actual keeper scored the winning penalty, nobody's brings that up. But that's a good goalkeeper. But if 1 goal had gone in, they'd be like, Alisson would have saved that. So I think it's kind of hypocritical.
I mean, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even surprising. Like, I don't think any Chelsea fan was surprised by what happened, because I think Tuchel's made it clear this season at least that even the Club World Cup, Kepa was in the semi-final, Mendy came back in for the final. The best game your best team plays. And he's kind of tried going the emotional route last season in the FA Cup final. He actually let Kepa keep in the final and kind of got burnt for it.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel that Tielemans shot from nowhere when he saves that. So this season, he's changed his tactics. He's just been, the best team plays
And
in the
did
final.
Kepa get you guys there? Did Kepa?
Yeah. He saved two penalty shootouts.
Yeah. So it's like, why is everybody like tripping? Like Holland does it with Krul. It's like, yeah, you can change your keeper if he's a specialty at.
Chelsea's done it. Super Cup.
Right, in the Super Cup,
we did it. So everybody knows. And in fact, this even predates Tuchel. Tuchel said when he did the Super Cup, he said, when I came into the club in January, the data that was presented to me, because the goalkeeping staff did not change, and the analysts were already there. He said that the data that was presented to me, the pecking order was Willy Caballero, Kepa, Mendy when it comes to penalties.
Oh, that's pretty tragic.
So, because remember Caballero at City, he was a specialist too on penalties.
That's crazy that you had two goalkeepers that were just good at penalties, but terrible during regular matches, or just average compared to like, that's gonna.
So I don't think it surprised anybody that Kepa came on. I knew for a fact that when we made the 3 subs that we are not going to make any more subs. Jorginho to take the penalty and Kepa to keep. Well, they were going to come up later.
Yeah, nobody complained about subbing in Jorginho for Kovacic. Kovacic was having a great game. It's like, but he scored. It's like, hey man, like Lee said, it was a high quality, good game. Somebody had to win, somebody had to lose. It went down to 1 penalty, and it's like on ESPN they were doing a good job of not blaming anyone for winning or losing, just talking about the quality of the entertainment. And sometimes it just is what it is. It's just good entertainment, and somebody had to win. We're going to run out of time, or somebody's going to take 1 penalty that goes in, and somebody's going to take a penalty that doesn't. And it comes down to goalkeepers, listen, Kepa might be a good saver, but he had no confidence in that penalty. He skied it.
I think that nobody expected that. I don't think even he ever expected that he'll have to actually take one.
Right. Yeah, he kicked it like he never expected like he'd have to ever take one.
He took a goal kick,
Yeah. But, hey, it was a good game, great penalties, quality. Kepa almost saved one of them. He got his hands on one of them.
Konate one, yeah.
Yeah. But the whole penalty shootout, I'm rooting. I stopped rooting for, to be honest, I was rooting for Liverpool during the game for some reason. I don't know why. Just emotionally, that's where my heart was. But during the penalty shootout, I was like, everyone that walked up, I knew at some point somebody's going to miss. So I was like, not him. Please let this person make it. Not because of everybody's individual story and who could take the pressure of not making it. Well, like when Chalobah came up, I said, please let Chalobah make it. When Elliott came up, I said, he just came back from an injury. Please let him make it. It didn't matter what side the person was on. Just like, nah, don't let it be this person that misses. And then it came down to the last 2. I was like, well, Kepa won the Super Cup. So if he misses, nobody can really shit on him. He's not the color of racist abuse. So, and this is pretty much the last kick of the game.
Yeah.
So let it be Kepa.
Yeah.
But so now let's go on to this war and your owner Abramovich. And I know Martin's been hitting you in the chat and saying that your team is going to be over. He's going to have to sell and just all this. But let me ask you a question. Just as a Chelsea fan, how do you feel that your owner is in this position, that has this relationship with the president or prime minister of a country who started a war in another country. Like, let's just start there. Like, how do you feel just as a Chelsea fan that, like, because this is something you didn't expect, you know? Like, this is much a blind side for you as anyone, including Tuchel.
I mean, it's a blind side in the sense like nobody expected an actual war, but there's been some previous with. I mean, the link with Abramovich and Putin and Russia, it's not new, right? Like these the oligarch thing, these are things that have been in the public domain, and as a Chelsea fan, you've had to like kind of deal with it for a long time now. So 2018, when the whole spy poisoning thing happened and there was a lot of visas got rescinded, I don't think Abramovich's visa was rescinded, but he just never chose to not apply because he probably thought there might be issues, and he's never been at a games in London since, except for once. So
since the poisoning.
Yeah, there was a spy who was poisoned.
Yeah, so what was it, plutonium or something?
Yes.
Something with radiation.
Something poisonous.
Yes.
So, but like when all of this coming out, obviously, like what's happening, you see all the reporting that's coming out of Ukraine. Try and read up on some of the background. Even like Russia trying to get into some of these territories. There's backgrounds to that too. So it's not something that you want to see. So if like sanctions and all of this are happening, any step that can prevent further conflict, further war, and de-escalate things should obviously be taken. And if that means Roman Abramovich is part of those, like if that helps, sure, go ahead with that, because like in the larger scheme of things, if there's war in Europe, I don't think any of us is going to be watching any football. So but having said that, like from a moral point of view, if you're asking, like I feel like when you're a fan of a certain club, the sport, like we don't run the sport, right? Like the sport, I think, has a duty. And in fact, it's codified in the Premier League as what they call the owner's test. When I think somebody wants to buy a club, they go through something, and they go through a certain degree of scrutiny, and the Premier League or the FA either passes them or says no. Russian money from big Russian business is not new to either sport or to society in general. I mean, like all of our countries have had economic relations with pretty much these same people for a long time now. So what's changed is a sort of an invading force is trying to take over somebody else's land. And in that respect, is Abramovich's money at play here? I don't think it is. Is Abramovich part of the decision making that leads to it? I mean, he's a businessman. Like businessmen don't want war. Like he is Ukrainian in his half of his background. I'm short of the fact that he has actually not made a public statement, except for the small thing that came on the Chelsea website. We've heard what his daughter has had to say about this issue.
What was on the Chelsea website?
Chelsea website was a statement condemning the conflict in Ukraine and hoping for peace to get back. They didn't. A lot of people criticized this because it actually didn't mention Russia by name.
Yeah, they didn't. That's
yeah. But so I'm saying, like, that's the only thing we've heard.
Do you think he should make a statement, or do you understand why he can't?
I understand why he can't, because he has businesses in Russia. He's probably responsible to his shareholders. He's probably responsible to employees who are on the ground there. And also there are reports now. I don't know how credible those reports are, but a spokesman has let it be known that he's trying to even, be involved in the negotiations. So, you do need to maintain some sort of neutrality if you want to be successful in any of that.
Or you could be like close to the person who's like starting the war, and they're like, hey, he's like, I'll talk to him. And
There's actually
like,
there's also reports that Putin actually took his company away from him. So even though they might have been great pals at one point, this is not 2012. So I
heard
hope
he
he has.
Go ahead.
I hope he has some degree of influence, and if he has any influence, I hope he uses it to to make things better. From what I've read and heard, there doesn't seem to be any reason for him not to. But again, none of that is helpful. I think Lee will agree. Like there is a big anti-Russian sentiment right now in the UK, and if like I've seen it in my country, in India, when there's conflicts in the border with Pakistan, the first thing that happens is Pakistani businesses in India get affected. Pakistani cricketers get thrown out of their contracts from the Indian Cricket League. So some of which we are saying, Pakistani artists, they have movies and they're doing movies in Bollywood. They have to literally movies have to cut them, else they run the risk of not going through. So you're also, apart from all of the the economical, geopolitical things we can talk about, there's also the code of public opinion. So and if public opinion is so heavily against something, you can there's not a lot you can do to ride against it.
All right. My question is, it's almost like why him, but I kind of understand why him. But
yeah, definitely, I understand why.
But so you understand. So they are close. Him and Putin are close. Like, what are they saying about Abramovich when members of the parliament go after him specifically, or they want him included in the group of oligarchs that they're going to go after? It's like, so what is the deal? Because he wasn't in the military, and he's supposed to be just.
He was once.
He was? Okay.
He was ex-KGB.
Who, Abramovich?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
I don't think he was ex-KGB, but he was in the Russian army for a very short time. But he was in the Russian army before he was anything, because he's had a pretty rags to riches story too. I believe he was in the army before he actually made any money, before he came into money. So
what do you know, Lee? Because I'm like, they're saying his name so much. It's like, I don't know enough about him to know what they know. So I'm just wondering, it's like, what do they know that they keep saying he should be penalized among other people? So it's just not weird, but it's just a question I have.
He made all his money.
He's not ex-KGB, but yeah, he had military background.
I know one thing. He does look guilty when he made this statement. Well, you like in the chat, we were like, this is baseless, They're just attacking him because he's an oligarch from Russia. But then when I saw him make the statement and try to hand the property of Chelsea to a charity, then I was like, that's the move of a criminal. You know what I'm saying? That's not a criminal, but the move of somebody who's guilty. It's also the move of a businessman, because they're like, if I don't own this, then it can't be penalized or taken from me. But we know I'm terrible at business, and I know putting it in a trust still means you own it. So I was like, and I'm like, I'm not even in business 101. So I was like, that ain't gonna work, but it does seem kind of bad. Like,
it's a strange one though, because London is like awash with Russian money.
Right.
The Conservative government who are in power have had millions of pounds donated by Russian donors. as well. So it's interesting to see how and who they're going after, because there's a lot of their influential friends that are also, potential people that they can go after if they apply it, the same across the board. So I think they'll stop short at doing anything to Chelsea. But yeah, there's all these interesting.
I don't think they'll have much options though, because I think it completely matters as to how politicians always, like, if it's still an easy thing to do though.
Yeah.
Like putting troops on the ground or actually taking military action is a tougher thing to do than making a big, which might be a symbolic act, like targeting the biggest or at least the most well-known oligarch in the UK circles.
Yeah. No, the whole sporting situation is interesting though as well, with all the clubs being banned. There's the Haas F1 team, who's owned by a guy who was in a meeting with Putin on Thursday. Last week, yeah.
And where's Haas?
Haas is a company.
They're American. They're American owned, based in the UK, but one of the head guys is a Russian oligarch who has very close ties to Putin, and his son's one of the drivers on the team as well. They used to have Russian flags on their cars, like the colours, and that's been removed for the current F1 testing that's going on. There's all sorts of interesting stuff happened. The guy who, I think it was Lokomotiv Moscow, their German coach, quit today, saying that he can't coach them anymore because he doesn't want to live and work in that country. A lot of teams, I think FIFA and UEFA have banned all their teams now from competition. You had all those players and clubs. It's interesting to see.
I feel that's tough, because those players, what did they have? We've seen the scenes in Russia. There's some protests in Russia. I don't think there's a lot of public support in Russia for this. So
it's the will of a dictator, isn't it? That's pushing this through. But they've also used sport as a vehicle, as a propaganda vehicle in a way. With stuff like Gazprom sponsoring the Champions League and things. But it's also, the whole thing's also very selective, because you've got Saudi Arabia essentially running a Premier League team as a nation financing it, and that's a regime who murdered and chopped up a journalist, or bombing Yemen on a regular basis.
Hey Lee, can they just sports wash their in peace? You don't have to bring it up and point it out and call them out. Jesus, just let the people sports wash their money and their brand.
There's when you actually get down to it, I think, as Lee said, like that. Now, tomorrow something goes down to Saudi Arabia. That might be your guns are pointed there. We've seen what Russia is doing right now in Ukraine. It's the only difference between that and what US, UK did, say, in Iraq, was at least United States and US, UK, they went through the sham of getting a United Nations vote to go into Iraq. And in this country, we've kind of glamorized the whole point of, the thing that's on Abramovich is that he made a lot of his money by cutting favors with politicians who are now famous, who are now running things in Russia. In this country, we have glamorized that entire act with this term called lobbying, and that's accepted. And there's not a single billionaire who's not deeply involved in financing politics.
Neil's just lashing out at everybody because his owner is dirty. Neil's like, the whole world is dirty. It's I'm gonna just tell on everybody.
I feel like it's also a little bit of a Western thing where we don't really get to see everything in another. I feel like the whole outrage over how war is now. And Tuchel said something too. I don't think he realizes the implications of what he's actually said, that, war is now in Europe. Shit's real. And, meanwhile, like a lot of Asia and Africa, like, war has been there, fostered, promoted by, our own issues and also by Western powers. So the difference in the scale of the outrage is also something to
Right.
consider.
There was I saw a picture. This was early in the week, or the end of last week. Like there was a soccer game in a league, and in the beginning of the picture, the players to the left going this way had on like stuff supporting Ukraine, and then I think he was Arab or Muslim. He was like the third player in the photo, and he didn't have on anything.
I think that was in Turkey, maybe.
In Turkey, maybe. Right. I can't remember what league. I can't remember the name of the guy. So then he got all this backlash for not wearing something in support of Ukraine. And he said the same thing. He said, hey, man, there's wars in the Middle East and we're attacked all the time. And there's no outrage. There is no support. And it's as if, so we're not even, we're not equal. And so now you're upset. Nobody's upset when nobody supports like Asian or Muslim countries. And then there's also that video of this one journalist talking about how hard it must be for this European country to deal with war because they have like homes, so then sleeping in a bomb shelter. And he's like, not to minimize. When somebody says not to minimize, they
that's
got
why they say I'm not being racist, but when you start to sense that way.
Yeah.
It's like when there's a missing kid, isn't there? Like if it's like a young blonde kid, everyone's like, oh no, and then there's all this like there's national search, but then oh no, there's a million missing kids of a different ethnicity or something. It's
right.
I heard like somebody say like these are not somebody who you don't know. Like, these are people who have Netflix accounts and Instagram accounts. Like this is how we're.
So you're saying you could track them down that way? Is that what you're saying?
No, like the guy was trying to say
that's the worth they put on human life.
Yeah, they're trying to say like, these are not some people in a third world, rotting somewhere in the third world. Like these are people who have Netflix accounts and Instagram accounts who are under war right now. So you better take it seriously.
Yeah. That's hilarious. So, messed up.
But like coming back to the Abramovich thing, I think, so all of that aside, it is, when something like this happens, of course, there is uncertainty and it can go either way. He put out that, he would not have put out that that statement about, putting the stewardship of the club into the trustees if he hadn't got wind of something, potentially coming up. So, and since
somebody gave him a heads up. One of the politicians gave him a heads up. Hey man, I was trying to talk to them, but they ain't listening, man. You better do something.
I'm surprised. I didn't think he would get touched. I thought there'd be enough distance for him to just.
I think legally there is enough distance. It's just that that's
enough.
No.
But is this almost like an internment camp for oligarchs, where like when we were at war with Japan, and after they put all the Japanese people in an internment camp. Is this like the most richest version of that, where we're just going to take away all oligarchs' money, and their internment camp is that they're just a regular person?
You're not going to be able to take away all of their money.
Frozen.
You're not going to be able to take away all of their money. You're going to be able to take away visible forms of their money. So, for example, if he's, as it's being sounded, I think, I don't know if you got a chance to see about it. There's actually a Swiss businessman who's, I heard, first time I'm hearing of his name, but apparently he's a big deal, who's come out with an interview saying that, Abramovich is looking to sell Chelsea. Me and 3 others have gotten this offer. but so we're considering it. It's a
So
bizarre
he's
interview.
he's really worried about
Now,
it.
I don't know. I mean, like, this is just one person's word, but this is what he said. And the funniest thing is, this interview was not even supposed to be about Abramovich or Chelsea. He is considered to be, you know, one of the political masterminds. Like, I was just reading up on him. And so the interview is just about his views on the whole Russia-Ukraine thing.
Mhm.
And randomly, he just drops this nugget in the interview about how, yeah, Abramovich is trying to sell his villa. We got an offer, me and 3 others got an offer to sell Chelsea. Even the reporter is like shocked. Wait, what?
Like I didn't. I
This
just stumbled into like the greatest story by accident. Well,
so,
I should check my voicemails because I have a Swiss
yeah,
friend,
direct line to Roman.
and
Is that what
he
you said?
called.
It's football, isn't it? Clubs get bought and sold.
Yeah.
Like, Abramovich's lifespan at Chelsea is actually pretty long in football terms.
Yeah, it is.
It's
18 years.
I tell you who needs to be worried, though. Everton fans need to be worried. Because Alisher Usmanov, who is one of their biggest investors, he's formerly was at Arsenal. He's being sanctioned heavily, and Everton have some money problems because the money they had pumped in has been spent horrifically.
Right.
They can't afford the plans to build a new stadium, which they've been talking about, or it's looking unlikely at the moment.
Mhm.
And yeah, their finances are down. They've been wasting a lot of money, so that could become a bigger issue, I think.
Yeah, Everton is like a blatantly badly run club. Like some clubs, like even Spurs, right? They haven't won anything, but I can't like look at them as like when Spurs don't win games, you're wondering how did they not win this game, or how are they going through this bad run? Because based on their recent history, or even where they're at in the table now. But this is the beginning of the Spurs are reaping the results of all their mistakes that they made earlier on now. It seeps in and it sticks. But Everton, like anybody without any sports or business acumen could be like, I could fix this. You know what I mean? Like
the thing is, Levy doesn't give his managers enough money to make expensive mistakes.
Right. I mean, but he still makes them. He's
yeah, Ndombele, maybe.
Yeah. He'll like, who's good here? Oh, let me sell him. Let me make some money. Let me develop my reputation as a great businessman, and let me use that money to buy a stadium. But the stadium can't play games. Yeah, we'll figure that out. But
so
the thing is, like a club like Chelsea, they at least have the ability to generate income through, where they finish in the league, Champions League, things like that. Whereas a club like Everton, if that, they'll get obviously the Premier League money, but yeah, they're in trouble, I think.
I think one thing that has helped Chelsea was like, ever since FP came in, we've kind of tried to balance our books anyway. So, I mean, I think
so
commercially,
it's the only legitimate business that Abramovich has is Chelsea.
Probably, yeah. Because, like, if you look at a net spend in the last 10 years, it's almost, I think United and City are far ahead. Arsenal somewhere in between. Then come Chelsea, Liverpool, and then Spurs are a little bit behind. In the last 5 years, our net spend is actually even lower than Spurs. So I think financially we'll be fine if Abramovich has to leave. The only thing, like the thing that is gonna be, I think, irreplaceable is that he actually really loves the club. He loves the sport, and he
wants to win.
He wants to win. He loves and cares for the club and the community. Like the amount of work he's done for the community, like even through the entire pandemic, a lot of that is slightly under the radar. But I don't think we are gonna have somebody who can replicate all of that pound for pound.
Right. Yeah, it's tough to get an owner as good as that, because when he first went to Chelsea, he sunk like $1 billion in there first, right? Like on players,
he spent a lot of money.
That wasn't at a profit.
that was not a profit. In fact, the profits have only been the last year, in the last 5 or 6 years.
Right.
He's
just reading that Everton investor Usmanov has actually had all his assets frozen by the EU, which isn't something that's happened to Abramovich.
That's probably something that, he probably got a heads up on that.
What's his name?
Usmanov.
Alisher Usmanov.
He must be like pissed that he's actually being sanctioned and his name is not as popular as Abramovich. And it's like, what do I have to do to make my name as popular? They're just talking about Abramovich. It's like, I actually got sanctioned. Where's my free press? Like, if Lee didn't know this, we wouldn't know this.
There's been an interesting post made online by one of the Everton defenders, the Ukrainian Mikolenko.
Mm-hmm.
He addressed the captain of the Russian team, which is Zuba, the big centre forward. He sent a message saying, "You're silent bitch with your teammates. Peaceful civilians are being killed in Ukraine. You'll be locked in your dungeon for the rest of your life, and I will be delighted."
Damn.
Which is pretty strong.
That is very strong.
I mean, you can't blame this. You can't blame that guy. He lives in Russia, right?
The Zuba, the forward, he plays for Zenit St. Petersburg.
And he's like the captain, or he played in the Euros and for Russia in the World Cup, right? It's like you're asking somebody with a family who's there, and grandmother and aunt, and like, something could happen to them. Like, if this guy attacked another country, why won't he attack somebody who lives in his own country that's like under him? So it's like, you could talk shit to a player in Russia, but can't, how much power does this Russian, I know he's pretty popular, but if Putin amassed troops on the border of the Ukraine and invaded, why wouldn't he just, you know what I mean? Like isn't he a father too? Isn't he? Like that's not the way to kind of go. I wish there was no war.
But I totally understand anybody, who's in Ukraine, who's got family in Ukraine lashing out too. Like, this must be like I was speaking to a friend of mine yesterday, and he has somebody Ukrainian in his team who still has family, like immediate family. He's just visited them a couple of months back. My friend is telling me that, I've literally told him, like, you can take as much time off right now. Like, I don't expect you to do any work at this point. Like, how can you even focus on day-to-day activities?
Yeah, it's messy, isn't it?
Can you get a paid Ukrainian leave?
You can.
And just, I'm calling in Ukraine.
I'm pretty sure this falls under sick leave.
Yeah.
Compassionate leave.
Compassionate, yeah. It's tough to say the cliche thing, like, you wish this all wasn't happening. You want people to be safe, and there's women and children involved, and just the lives of men, and people are in Ukraine fighting. I also hope what I saw is not true about Black people African students trying to exit the Ukraine, and they're being pushed back to the back of the line. I hope.
I wouldn't be surprised, because I read the same thing about Indian students trying to leave.
One of them got killed today.
Yeah, and one Indian student,
An Indian student or African American? I mean, not African American.
An Indian student. He was in a queue for like a grocery store, and then a rocket got hit, or airstrike hit them.
Yeah.
Oh, sad. Yeah, so it's like, hey, I want to support the Ukraine, but y'all got to do the right thing too. Like, this is, it's like the same way you want compassion and help, you have to also help the people who are in your country too.
Yeah.
And you're all in this together. It's like, what type of you always just want to pick a team to root for. I guess that's why you like sports. Is like, I'm a Man United fan, and then you can root for your team, but then if your team starts doing wrong shit, it's just hard to root for your team. And then this is like a war, and you think, but it's not straightforward about it. So this is a big humanity lesson for everybody, even if you're being attacked. Don't attack other people. So just want to get that out the way. What else we got on our list? The Man City Everton game, where the Man City won 1-0, like on kind of not like an error, but a kind of deflection that fell in their favor. And Phil Foden put the ball in the back of the net. Keane, who was guarding him, couldn't get to it. And keeper, who's having a great game, got beat. English keeper. And so today, I think, was it the referee association? What do they call them?
Yeah.
Comes out and apologizes and says that was a handball and it should have been a penalty for Everton. But it seems corrupt because they stayed on that a long time during the actual game. Like, there was so much time for them to just do that then. And then now they're saying 2-3 days later that it was an actual mistake. It's like, it's not like everything was going so fast. They stopped the game. They looked at the thing a bunch of times and determined that it was a handball. And then they're showing all these different angles that would have allowed them to see it better. Like, I don't even need those angles from the weekend. Like, I saw it from the angles you gave me. So what are you talking about?
Yeah, I could see it in real time. Like, didn't even need a replay. Like, oh, that looks like a penalty.
Yeah, it's a penalty.
It's crazy that they've looked at it and not gone with it. Like, that's for people that are meant to be making those calls for a living. That's a real.
So in that statement that they gave, or like they apologized or whatever, did they actually give the sequence of how it played out? Like, did somebody press the wrong button? What happened? Like, how did they even reach the that conclusion?
I don't know.
I guess they don't say any of that.
Yeah, I guess I gotta read more up on it, but that's like, what is that? Like a consolation? Like, you should have won a gold medal, but like you can't do that. Like,
no, when Everton get relegated, by 1 point they can just tell themselves, no, actually not relegated.
Yeah, and that would be crazy because Everton almost fell into the relegation zone today. Like, Burnley was on their way climbing out, looking out of the dungeon, and then Leicester managed to slam the grate down on their fingers, and they fell back in. But Burnley just needed a tie today, and that game was tied for a minute until Vardy came on, and with Madison and did the 1-2 thing to him. But yeah, like, it's not like there was no VAR, and then after the game they looked at the move and found that it was a handball. You have the VAR. Like, what did you do? Like, use the VAR?
I'm just reading now. It says the decision went back to the central VAR hub, which is like based out of the stadium. And the guy who was running that decided that it wasn't worthy of another look by the referee on the pitchside monitor.
That sounds shady, bro.
So someone sat there, watched it at the central head office and went, nah, the ref doesn't need to take another look at that, which is madness.
I mean, that is fine. The ref doesn't need to look at that because it's a penalty.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he should have added. Did he miss adding that?
Yeah, why we need to look at it is obviously a penalty. So let's just give him a penalty. Hold on, let me turn on this light.
Yeah, Frank Lampard wasn't holding back either.
Yeah.
He's like, my 3-year-old daughter could tell you that's a penalty.
And I think we're going to see more of that. Like, some of this.
My 3-year-old daughter, who's on loan at Southampton, could have made that call.
I think we're going to see more of that because in the past, I feel like, coaches, players used to have a little bit of empathy for the referee because everything is happening in real time and you're having to make a decision real quick. Now, right. I think the gloves are off. Like, you getting actually screwed over with somebody having the leisure and liberty of watching multiple angles, multiple replays. I don't think anybody's holding back on criticism anymore.
I don't think anyone ever used to show referees empathy.
Well,
I
at least
don't
you
remember
have
those days.
well, maybe not right after the game.
I mean, why would you have feel sorry? So the ref never went and looked at it. So it's the person in the VAR booth.
Yeah.
Who had, because the game stopped a little bit later upfield anyway, because Richarlison is always going to dive on the floor. So if this, first of all, there's no excuse for you to not look at a play in a game that Richarlison's playing, because he's going to give you time. He's always going to lay down on the floor for something, and you could go back to that thing. And it's like, it just doesn't make any sense. You're up there with multiple VCRs, just clicking from shot to shot and not making the call is kind of preposterous. But what other game? Southampton won again.
Yes.
Who'd you beat?
Norwich.
Man, you're trying to really just put the nail in their coffin.
Yeah, we're only one place behind Wolves now, who are, everyone's saying how they're having such a great season, and we're only one place behind them in the league. We're above Brighton now as well.
Right. Let me see where you're at. Like, I know you're having a great season. You're in the top. Yeah, you're ninth.
We're ninth at the moment. Yeah.
You're about to enter
that's about the ceiling of my expectation. I don't think we'll finish there. I think we'll probably drop a couple of places.
You fuck around, you might be in the Spurs Conference League, whatever they call that thing. You should go for that Europe thing. I gotta keep moving. I'm trying to get out the light. I think this is it. I think this is my final place I'm moving to. Yeah, there you go. This is it. What's that competition in Europe that Spurs was in?
Europa Conference.
So why don't y'all go for that? What's that, 7th?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think we'll finish that high. Like, there's teams below us, like Leicester have got a couple of games in hand. Obviously they won tonight against Burnley.
I'm shaking my head. That Leicester can't play as good as you guys right now, even though Vardy just came back.
It'd be interesting. But yeah, I mean, I'd love us to finish as high as possible. I'd love us to get European football. It's been a few seasons. But yeah, I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm just glad we're not in the relegation battle. That's how unambitious I am this season.
I mean, I'm about to have a Southampton amount of ambition myself. I mean, watching that. I mean, so Man U, we tied, which is almost like a loss for us. We have 47 points, which is 2 more points than Arsenal, but Arsenal has 3 games in hand. Even if Arsenal just drawed, they'd still be ahead of us. If they draw their 3 games, they'd still be ahead of us. But, I think I mentioned it last week about the teams in the league that have mentality, and Arsenal is definitely one of them. I don't see them losing anytime soon. I mean, I'm sure they'll lose 1 game or drop some points somewhere, but they have a better mentality with more amount of games. And normally everybody looks at the games, the points that you already have, but I'd be, especially with who we have to play coming up. We have the derby against Man City. We got Liverpool coming up. Like, we blew our easy points. And it's not like this is Ollie, where Ollie would just sit back and counter, and it'll give us a great chance to win. Like, we're going to go at these teams with our style, I'm assuming. So it's just going to open us up more, and it gives us a less of a chance to win these games these tough games that we normally win. So my money's on Arsenal to finish 4th, but I don't have any money, so that's good.
It was an interesting game to watch, that one. I was really impressed with how good Elanga is now.
Yeah.
Like, he was the one making everything happen when he was on the field.
Yeah, like, quality of football, he was one of the best players on the field. Like, before it's like get on the field, press people, and just run all over the place. But now the touches, the confidence, and the touches was like, oh, he belongs out there. It's just not the doll you wind up and sick on people. He's got the touches and the confidence now. So that's and it's especially good after losing Greenwood, you know, for that terrible reason. But you know, there's at least something good did happen.
Yeah, no, he looks like a future star for sure.
Yeah,
he's
100%.
already making an impact.
Yeah, I also feel like we could pull Short here, and I might be saying his name wrong, out of the academy too, because he has that kind of energetic vibe whenever I see him. And I think I think, you know, you don't want to load your team up with teenagers, but look at, like, I just see the same type of mentality like when I'm watching Gavi, 17 years old or 18, play for Barcelona. Like, just not just energy, but effectiveness and composure and play. So I believe in Short Hair too, as much as I believe in Alanga. I was like, if we need these players, I mean, let's play them. But United just has trouble in the office that's affecting how we do things on the field. The only good thing, one of the few good things, is we played good, we created chances. Our XG is up in the last 6 games. We're creating chances. We outplayed Watford, and Ronaldo's not scoring right now, but it's not just him. Like, and I don't think he can press as much because he's 37 and we have him playing like 5-6 games in a row, like in like 11 days. So like the coach has to be able to tell him you can't play every game and let him throw a tantrum. Just take the tantrum. Like if you don't take the tantrum, then the other players are going to see that you're treating him different. And it's hard not to treat Ronaldo different, you know, just like everybody else. But if you can, then everybody will fall in line, because he's like, if Ronaldo has to listen to him, we have to. So, you know, it's tough to be the coach of Man U when you don't have like a resume that's bigger than the players, you know, and you need to keep them on your side because you want them to keep playing for you. There's this balance and this dance you have to do, especially when you have a system that requires that they work so hard. So it's like, I get it, but we just need somebody that could make this all come together. So, and I like Ralph, so I hope it's him. I don't know if you guys have anything to say on this, or just about any of the other games in the league.
Which one was it? There was one I wanted to talk about. Christian Eriksen back on the field finally.
Oh yeah.
Not quite the game they want, but it was good to see him come on. Newcastle just pulling themselves up out of that battle every week now with just getting the points on the board, which is, I guess, what they what they bought those extra players to do, what they bought Howe to do.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, teams around them are messing up. So, I mean, you look at Leeds, obviously they got battered by Tottenham, sacked the manager, because that's what happens when you lose to Spurs. Your manager has to leave.
Yeah. How about that Leeds, man? Bielsa is like, that's a tough. Like I guess the chairman / owner said it's the toughest thing you had to do was to let go of Bielsa. He's like, Bielsa, in the short time that he's been to the club, is a legend. He brought the club up. So here's my question for you, Leah, and also for Neil. Like, Bielsa's a genius, right? Remember when he got caught with the spy for the Derby game, right?
Yeah.
And he called a press conference and he showed them all the preparation that he puts his team through for a game and says, whether we spied or not, we're still doing the work, and the spying really didn't help, right? So if somebody does that, why wouldn't they make the adjustments when they come to the Premier League? Like, why would you make adjustments in the Championship, but not in the Premier League?
I mean, it's a hard one to answer, like, because, I mean,
I don't
clearly
know,
it wasn't
frozen.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Your screen's frozen, but I think we can still talk.
Yeah.
I think it's a strange one because, I mean, clearly it wasn't working there. They conceded like 60 goals this season in 26 games, which is like, if they carry on, they'll be on record for like the worst ever defense in Premier League history if that carries on. So, and I think Bielsa, though, like he is very intelligent. No, he's very influential, but at the same time, every club he's been at, it's imploded quite spectacularly. His methods, I think, they only work in the short term. And to be fair, they worked at Leeds longer than they've worked at some of his other clubs. Normally, he's like 2 seasons and done kind of guy.
Yeah.
So it's worked longer here, but eventually, like, the results always go off the cliff wherever he works. So this might be that. I don't know if it's something about how intense and demanding that methodology is that eventually players just can't keep up with it and can't keep doing it. Mentally, they're, maybe shot. So it'd be interesting. But I mean, Jesse Marsch, who's come in, he's not going to let them rest. It's a very aggressive, very vertical style of football that he plays. So the demands on the players physically and mentally are probably going to be similar, even if like the actual style is going to be different from Bielsa's, because Bielsa's style is very unique. But I mean, they're in trouble they're 1 point ahead of Everton, but Everton have 2 games in hand. So they're right in there.
Yeah. It's just weird, like, for a coach to just not, he's sitting on the bucket in the middle, like right by the pitch. So it looks like he's thinking about the game and that he's close enough to see what the issue is and do something about it. And he's just not doing anything about it. I also said this a few weeks ago, like 2 of his main players are injured, Bamford and Calvin Phillips. So those are internationals. Bamford, the leading scorer, and Calvin Phillips is a crucial midfielder. And that counts for a lot. But you just gotta do something. I think Jesse Marsch, even though his team presses, he's more defensive, right? And the players won't be following people, or like maybe it'll be more efficient energy usage, which sort of players won't mind using their energy if they feel like the style works better for the team to get results. So I root for Jesse Marsch. He's an American coach. It'd be good to see like an American coach succeed in the Premier League and get something. I think, when he was at Leipzig, the team got sold pretty much right from under him to its competitors. Like, all the players got sold. So it's a tough adjustment, and he had to pay the price for that.
Yeah, I think, going in after Nagelsmann was never going to be easy for anyone. Like, to achieve what he achieved, and then, like, say, losing Konate, Sabitzer, Upamecano, like key players coming out of that team. And, the job he did at Salzburg was really good. Even in the Champions League, because, I mean, obviously winning the Austrian league with them is not that hard because of the funding and the players. Like, you had Haaland there with him as well. It's
Mulder hard.
Yeah. But then he actually did, pull off some decent performances in the Champions League. So he has something about him. But if Leeds do go down with him as manager, I do fear for American coaches in the Premier League, because that'll be 2 for 2 with American coaches, him and Bob Bradley, both with a relegation on their CV. So
3 for 3.
Who's the other one?
Ted Lasso got relegated too.
Yeah, man,
So-
that's it. So it's maybe that's a sign. Maybe he's going to, be the next on the list. But I think it'd be an interesting one. I think it's a smart appointment though. I think he'll. Like, I don't think you could bring someone in who's a completely radical difference from Bielsa. Like if they went from Bielsa to Allardyce, that would be the weirdest thing for those players to try and comprehend. Whereas this, it will be different because nobody's like Bielsa, but it won't be a complete, relearning for them.
All right.
I feel like, Ian, going back to your initial point about like why, why can't you adapt when you're seeing a situation? I feel like that's just he just seems like too much of a somebody so embedded with his philosophy that he's just not going to change no matter what. And
Good luck in relationships then, because Jesus.
He's a fundamentalist.
Yeah, he is, and he didn't have the players. I think they had injuries and stuff. So I'm pretty sure like the whole Calvin Phillips injury really played a part in all of this. He was that guy who was shielding the defense. But I think it also says as to why, despite all the good things we know about Marcelo Bielsa as his coach, all the things that you'll see folks like Pep Guardiola say about him, there's a reason why at the top level his career is more downs than ups. This isn't somebody who has won league titles in Europe. This isn't somebody who's taken a team to really the top of their respective leagues.
He's done bigger than that. He brought Leeds back to the Premier League after 15 years of absence.
Yeah,
Huge.
I mean that's definitely a great achievement.
He won the championship. Did he? Did he win the championship?
Yeah. No, the second time, did they win it? Oh yeah, they did win it.
I think they won it. Huge.
Yeah, and I think in a way it's actually great that they sacked him, because now then he doesn't have the Leeds relegation on his record.
I think they'll be all right.
It might be. They're hanging on to a thread though. Like the same with Benitez, right? Like even though it looks like from the points that they have a little bit of a buffer, if you've just been losing, then that buffer is really not worth much.
Yeah.
It's an interesting battle down there. Like Brentford aren't out of it either. Newcastle.
Listen to you all sounding all snobby. It's an interesting battle down there. now that you're in ninth,
interesting battle down there.
Like I don't know what it's like. It's not my lifestyle. But,
we're like someone.
All those people on food stamps.
We're like someone who was broke and then won the lottery. We're like, look at these fucking poor people.
Yeah. Like they just need to get their lives together. You got to work hard, pull yourself up on your bootstraps, and become a top 10 team. Jesus Christ! Why can't you get a Serbian injection of money too?
That didn't do anything. We didn't.
I know.
We were just hanging out down there for some fun. We always knew we were better than that.
But if you ever needed to put like a cherry on top of the snob pie, you just get that Serbian 200 and whatever $million would be it.
Hey, there's teams down there with more money than us. So.
That's true. Now finish what you were saying, Mr. Fancy Pants. It's interesting down there.
No, I mean it's anyone from Newcastle downwards. So that's like 1, 2, 3, 7 teams. That are in that. I mean, Newcastle are giving themselves a good chance of, being clear now, but they're still not out of it. I think it's anyone from those group of teams, and at least we've got a battle at the top and the bottom of the league now.
Yeah. You think Brentford could go down? Like all the right bad things are happening for them to like go down. Like from having to end up playing Arsenal and losing to them, the sending off this week, the close losses, the hard, like busting their ass and still losing and dropping points. And you're like, at some point, do they be like, man, this league is hard. We can't do this. Our teams grow in confidence. The teams grow out of confidence. And let's see if Brentford is made for this.
I think as well, though, like sometimes when a team comes up, they kind of have that. There's a bit of adrenaline and there's a bit of an unknown quantity factor to them as well. Whereas this far into the season, like especially if you play a certain like way, everyone figures you out. No. Everyone's done their homework by now. Like they're not going to take anyone by surprise. Like teams know that they're dangerous on set pieces and they play a certain way. So teams will figure that out and combat it. So it's then what else can you do to get at that? But I mean, like you say, bad luck. Sending off that early in the game just killed them. When Joelinton scores, it's it's not your day.
Yeah, he's
balling out right now though.
Yeah, he's balling. He's not even a forward. They dropped him. He's an attacking midfielder now, and he's scoring from there. He's a monster in the midfield. This big, athletic crate of a man is has using all his skills. Like the same thing that they're doing with him, I recommend that you do with Danny Welbeck. I know he's on Brighton. He should not be a forward, but he can cover ground, put him in the middle of the park, box to box him, and he'd have a better career. But you put him in front of the goal, that's his kryptonite.
Starts career at 30.
Yeah, it's too late. Yeah. Hey.
Means that rebirth.
Yeah. We found out that putting what's his name from West Ham?
Declan Rice in midfield.
I would say leading scorer. I'm blanking.
Mikel Antonio.
In front of the goal was the thing to do. That guy used to be a right or left back. Play all over.
He was a fullback for us.
Yeah. Oh shit. See. So. Hey,
Gareth Bale. How many fullbacks do you have? Lee, who turned out to be,
Wasn't Oxenden-Chamberlain one of yours too?
Yeah, he played wing or centre mid for us, which is where he's carried on playing for people anyway. But Antonio was a fullback or a winger for us.
And so was Shaw. We got Shaw.
Well, yeah, he's just stayed fullback.
Straight fullback. I know we got questions. Do we want to talk about some of the FA Cup only because Spurs lost to?
So let me pull up the questions about Spurs. So
right.
I think we can cover all of them together.
All right, cool.
So Bully Mamba asks, why is it that the Spurs can't level up? That is, never win anything. When they have the players and the resources to do so. Competition too tough, losing is in their DNA. My question is poorly worded. I admit, no, Mamba, this is perfectly worded.
That is not a question. That is just a straight shit on Spurs.
I created a fake account to submit that question.
What is the name? Mamba?
Bully Mamba.
Bully Mamba, hilarious.
So
nice.
As Adam,
can I have access to that account so I can ask you questions?
Okay.
About Spurs?
So Charlie asks, what the bloody hell is wrong with Spurs? Well, I think Bully Mamba just answered you. But Barry Hornbuckle III says, give Middlesbrough some props of beating Spurs in the FA Cup. We definitely will. And
they deserved it. They completely outplayed them. They bossed them. Chris Wilder's doing a good job there. He's an intelligent guy. He's a good manager. And props to them. It was just as much about them being good as it was about Spurs being terrible.
Yeah.
And then they have an advantage because they have a Premier League coach. He's fresh out the Premier League. He played there. He coached there the last 2 years, and he's coaching against teams that he coached against and had success somewhat against in the Premier League. So now he's coaching up. Is it Millwall? Middlesbrough. He's coaching Middlesbrough, and he's and especially since they beat Man U, they're like, yeah, we believe in this guy. He knows what he's doing. He knows the lay of the land. Let's go. Let's get these Premier League teams out the way in FA Cup. So
I didn't even know there was a game on today, but
me neither.
I got a notification at the 107th minute of Middlesbrough scoring, and Yeah, I had to watch it. And the remarkable thing was in the 30 minutes, you'd think like a team like Spurs trying to score, there'd be like wave after wave after wave of attack. But pretty much kept the ball for at least 80% of the time.
Yeah.
And so
It's something I'm seeing because I've got some friends who are Spurs fans and they all moan about the same thing, which is like Conte's style doesn't really change. The formation doesn't really change, even though the players don't really seem to suit it based on the results.
Here's the thing though, like I think the core of this Spurs team is still the Spurs team that was under Pochettino.
Right.
And Pochettino was a manager who, I don't really rate him as at an elite level, but at least his style of play was on the front foot. They've now gone in, Jose Mourinho, Nuno, and Conte got in 3 back-to-back counter-attacking managers. And like the squad is just not, I don't know why you do that. Like it's just a lack of planning. It's just like you're going out there and just trying to find the first thing you can get without really thinking whether it suits you, the kind of players you have.
Well, I can
understand. It works. It works now and again. Like the City game, it worked, and the Leeds game at the weekend, like it worked against teams that are sort of ultra possession teams.
Yeah. Right.
But not everyone's like that. You need to be a bit more flexible. Because I mean, Jesus, like having less possession than a championship team. I mean, even we had like 60-something% possession, I think, when we played them at their stadium. It's like, come on.
I thought you guys were playing at Southampton when I was watching that game. I had to keep checking the top left-hand corner. So they're really in London, huh? Okay, this is weird because Southampton just have them pinned, and that's Spurs.
Spurs, yeah.
But that was one of the problems we had, and why I think we're doing better now was because Hassan it's like, oh, he's the pressing guy. His game plan's about pressing. We struggled when teams gave us the ball. And they're like, teams were like, oh, we don't want you pressing us, so we're going to let you have the ball. And then we would get beat on the counter. But this year, Hassan Hüttel has made us a lot better with the ball when we play teams who want to sit off us. And that's why things have got better. So, you need, especially when you're at a club like Spurs, who teams will want to give you the ball, and Spurs also pride themselves on their playing style over, the years, because they can't, pride it on trophies. So they haven't even got style now.
I'm trying to see how many points. You're like 7 points behind Tottenham.
Oh, I would love it if we could overtake them, but I don't think it will happen.
And
you've come close though. I think you were like 3 points before. Yeah. You're 5. 7 points.
Yeah, you can make Højbjerg regret that he left. Wipe that smirk.
They have a game in hand, which probably means nothing for Spurs.
Yeah, that's nothing. They just lost
to.
Yeah.
They used to have like 4 games in hand, and they wasted most of them.
Yeah, they didn't move.
They moved. They moved one down.
Yeah.
They went from 7th to 8th.
That's pretty good. That's the direction I like Spurs moving in. What other questions you got?
So Hans says, will Spurs ever stop being shit? We just answered that.
Hopefully not.
Not. Yeah.
I'm liking that a lot of the listeners are really getting into the spirit of the show. Yeah. Now. They know what it's about.
It feels like they're all in the group chat.
Yeah, they're getting into the spirit of the group chat. That's what they're getting into.
So Edson asks, half the questions are about this. Edson asks, what's the problem with Tottenham, or are they just cursed?
Is that another one fake account that you made up, Lee?
Yeah, I've got a whole set of burners. They're all there. How many
burners you got, bro?
So as Adam asks, this is partly a Spurs question. He says, have Spurs and Leicester missed their chance to leap over Arsenal and United, the Premier League pecking order? Feels like they had a window last few seasons too.
Absolutely.
That makes sense, yeah.
I mean, they were above us, right? Didn't they? Before Pochettino left. Yeah. But somebody said something earlier when they just named off the amount of coaches, and so this is why Levy's not good. This is why Levy's not, because Poch on the front foot. That's what Neil was saying. Then he went from Poch to Mourinho. Now, that's not about style. That's about trying to have an image
Brand
and
name.
get a name coaching, right?
It's
So
a vanity hire.
So what?
It was a vanity hire.
There's a vanity hire, and it's also a way to keep Harry Kane. So you're doing two things, right? You're trying to convince Kane to leave and sign this contract, and we'll sign this vanity coach that Harry Kane will feel like he's being trained and coached by somebody elite, but it goes against the whole philosophy of the core of the team. And then after that, you get rid of the vanity hire, and then you go, nobody wants the job. So then
you go from Jose to budget Jose.
Yeah, exactly, because nobody wanted the job.
Yeah.
Right? So you ended up with budget Jose, which ends even faster. And then now you go to current Jose, which is Conte, which is another vanity hire, but it goes against it. So like Levy's not as good as people are saying. Like he makes emotional decisions that is blowing like what he did do that was good with Spurs. So that's why Spurs ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. I think I agree. Like I think Spurs and Leicester, they had that window, and it seems like West Ham has that window now. But yeah, I mean, it seems like clubs like Arsenal, United are eventually gonna take back that spot that they had kind of relinquished.
Yeah. Because Arteta is making the right moves. The players have that mentality, and and that it's a shame to admit it, but Arsenal's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joseph Duda.
What up, Duda?
Yeah, he asked. I think we already covered it. He goes, "How do you think Jesse Marsh will do at Leeds?" So, I think we already kind of went over that.
Yeah, we hope good for America's sake.
It's going to be touch and go as to whether they stay up.
All right.
How quickly can he get his ideas across?
He's like in the middle of a game. He's like, "Stop following that guy. You don't have to man mark him. Stop. Just stay right there. You're good right there. Don't follow him all the way."
I am ready for all the memes that will come out of him saying something like, like Bradley said PK for
killed him. Like killed him.
Yeah.
He said PK.
Yeah, for a penalty.
Oh.
So I wonder what the 2020.
There was a whole TV character dedicated to it on Soccer AM. They had a sketch every week where a guy would put a flesh-coloured shower cap on to look like him. They called him Brad Bobley, and he would just run around a field like just shouting the most absurd shit. I'll send you a link after this.
Yeah.
I saw this meme where how Bielsa, when he goes for the press conferences now, he has his translator next to him.
Yeah.
They're like, the translator is going to stay there because we'll still need him.
There's a translator out of a job right now because of Bielsa.
Jesse Marsh is going to say something like jailbreak, and then the translator will be like counterattack.
Hilarious.
The press was gnarly. Thomas Warren asks, choose one outcome from this dilemma. You beat Man City this weekend. So Ian, this is for you. United beat Man City this weekend and it guarantees Liverpool the league, or you beat Liverpool later on in March and gives Man City the league. Who do you hate most?
So you're like, so you're basically asking me, so do I want to have the people who broke in my house slap my mother or my daughter in the face? Yeah. These are not no good choices. I would like to take points off both of them. So
I would think you'd want City to win, no? Because win the title.
But I hate City now more than I hate Liverpool.
Yeah, but they're like, but they are kind of like unreachable right now to United. And they're farther away from you in the overall league title count.
No, but if we could, I remember that game when they were up 2-0 and they wanted to win the title at United. And we was like, nah, that's not happening. I just watched that game again recently. It brings me so much joy. And we just beat them 3-2. Smalling scored the winner. Pogba got 2. And it felt like winning a title, stopping them from winning the title at our ground. So it's like this week I'm going to want to beat City. But the week after, I'm going to want to beat Liverpool just as much as I want to beat City. So both. I want to take both points off both.
All right, then Stauji asks, how do you think Liverpool and Chelsea's future changes after that crazy game? Also, I'm sure I don't need to say, but Chelsea ownership situation at the moment. So we kind of covered the ownership thing. I think I'll just say from like Chelsea's future point of view, regardless of what happens with the ownership situation, I think there are a couple of things that don't change, right? Like we still have a fairly young, hungry team with a lot of quality in it. We still have one of the best coaches in Europe. We, from a financial point of view, we still have a club which brings in enough money on its own. You're not dependent on Abramovich's monies as we used to be in the past. And net spend in the last 5-10 years has been relatively low. We still in London, we still have that pull. That's not going to change either. So I think it'll be next to impossible to replace Abramovich as somebody who loves, who is essentially a fan too. But I think we'll be fine.
We'll see.
I think for Chelsea, though, like worst case scenario is you slip to like Spurs level. That's as bad as it will get. I think
that's terrible.
That's you know how I know that'll not happen.
I wouldn't wish that on Spurs.
You know how I know that'll not happen. That's even lower than worst case scenario because
it is.
I would think worst case scenario is we go back to how we were before Abramovich, right? Before Abramovich, we were a team that to me was better than Spurs of the last 4-5 years, but actually
you'd at least win an FA Cup every few years.
Yeah, we actually that team with decent quality but won trophies. So and we oh, by the way, one more thing I forgot to add. We're still gonna have this academy, which is one of the best in Europe. So that conveyor belt is not gonna, in terms of like being restricted in spending. I actually tell this to a lot of my friends from other clubs. You should not be worried when Chelsea spend big money, because the history says, the record says that we always kind of mess it up when we go big on a certain player. The people that really create an impact at Chelsea are the people like the Hazards, Kantes, the Drogbas, the Mendy, Silvas, Chilwells. They're all like below 50 million. So yeah, I think we'd be fine if it actually makes us more efficient as a club, makes us more.
I like how below 50 million is your like. I'm pretty sure our Southampton's transfer record was like 19 million.
Damn. Jesus. I like how. Listen, man. Like Man United lost one guy. His name was Sir Alex Ferguson, and it changed the course of our history. So if you lose
but you lost a guy who you were very dependent on. I think in the last 10 years we've kind of weaned off our dependency on Abramovich. Again, I'm saying like if this is a question posed to me like 10 years back,
if he leaves, right? If he sells it.
Yeah,
the new people are going to bring a bunch of new people, and and it's going to be their new, and that's when losing him.
Are they going to get rid of the coach? Because like backroom stuff wise, like we actually as Chelsea fans have lots of issues with folks like Marina Granskaya, Bruce Buck, the way they run certain things. That's what I'm saying. Like if there's a lot of unhappiness in the fan base. about a lot of things that they do. So
You guys are sore winners.
so if it actually, makes us more efficient in the usage of our money, might actually, might surprise a few people.
I feel like football fans have to accept that no matter how good your team is, you're going to make mistakes and blow some money. It's just like Ferguson blew money. Everybody's just like, Chelsea's won shit and they've blown some money. It's like Man City's blown some money. It just happens. Just don't blow it like Everton and you're good.
And it's quick word, somebody on Liverpool's, I think the other part of the question was on Liverpool's future after this crazy game. Are they going for the quadruple?
They got a shot. I mean, I feel like I expected a better performance from them against you guys. But so, we were talking about Leeds, right? And they play one way. But Liverpool and Man City are teams that play one way. But they're just so good at it. And their way includes how to defend and how to attack and how to it encapsulates.
They also have world-class players.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They can sustain that one way at a high level.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can plan for a team that plays the same way all the time. Like, it's going to be tough to win 4 competitions. When
I mean, this game, literally every ball we were putting in behind was leading to a chance.
You guys.
There was so many chances.
You had the better chances, but they had the better finishers. And so, on another day, somebody can beat them in a competition, But
I still think City will win the league. Just
yeah.
Well,
that head-to-head day is going to be crazy.
It's going to be big.
I think April 9th.
You know how Liverpool celebrated like the League Cup, and I sent that video, like they were in the changing room playing music and dancing around the trophy, like, and then they walked up into the stands and they each held a trophy. Even that kid got in out of nowhere. He asked, Kepa was like, where's this kid come from? I don't know, his dad made him go over there. But like, it's going to be, the season might not be over, and it'll probably be that level of a Liverpool celebration if they beat the day they beat Man City, because it's bigger than the League Cup than beating City at that point, because that means you just pretty much won the goddamn Premier League. So we'll see. What do you think, Lee, about Liverpool's?
It's going to be interesting. Diaz has given them an extra dimension. So, they got a fit squad at the moment as well. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I think City will still pip them. I think City will get it over the line. They'll get it done. But, I mean, the longer it's open for, the better. I mean, if Liverpool winning throws it wide open, so I think that puts, as long as they both win all their other games, that puts them level on points, doesn't it? If Liverpool beat them, they've got a game in hand. And
Liverpool got a game in that game, yeah.
I think if Liverpool win all their games, they win the league.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. But you never know, like, a team could mess up out of nowhere against someone, like City did against Spurs or when they drew with us. So I don't think both of them will win every game they play, obviously apart from one against each other. Only one of them can win. But yeah, someone will drop some points somewhere. It'd be interesting to see where that happens, if it's predictable or not.
And one thing I have to say about the cup game, the cup final, I feel like Klopp, his subs hurt Liverpool in that game. Like, I felt like they were a stronger team with the starting team 11 that they put out, and you guys really ran the game. Chelsea ran the game in the extra time periods, especially the first one, and you had a lot more chances. And like those subs kind of like, you put in that kid that just came back from the ankle thing. I know he's a good player, but you're missing something that you haven't learned yet and don't know what you're doing because you just don't have that much experience, especially in a type of game like that. And then he took out Luis Diaz, and it's like when you look at the people he replaced those players with, it's like the players he took out and the people you put in, you're like, they're all right, but can they keep this up?
It's interesting looking at the last 2 games of the season for Liverpool. Our second to last game is away to us, which, depending on whether we're already on holiday by then, it could be tough for them. And then the final game's against Wolves, who, again, won't, like, we're both 2 teams who won't roll over for people.
Right.
They got an easy one before that. Third last game is Spurs, so that's a guarantee.
I thought you were going to say Man U.
But yeah, they got some tough games. Like their next few games that they've got, they got West Ham. Their next league games are West Ham, Brighton, Arsenal, you guys. Like that's their next 4 league games. There's potential there for a loss or a draw against someone.
Right.
Then they got an easy one against Watford before they play City. So they've still got another derby with Everton before the end of the season. So it's this is why I still think City will win. But Liverpool are a big game team, so who knows?
Yeah,
they're having a really strong season though. Like you see some of the numbers that attacking players are putting up. It's crazy. I think they're top 3 in both goals and assists in the league right now. So, and I think I still feel defensively they can be got at. Like just the last game, we had a lot of joy targeting the left hand side, but again, if the attack is consistently doing their job, it's not a bad defense. So they can do just about enough.
Let me ask Neil. I wanted to ask you a question because you always like going in on Alonso.
Oh, he had an amazing game. I just wanted. I'm so sorry I forgot saying that.
See, why do I have to bring it up?
I'm so sorry. There's war in Europe. I don't think you can blame me. I'm just under a lot of emotional
You're going to
stress
blame
right
Putin
now
for everything?
No, but Marcus Alonso, 120 minutes, he was absolutely amazing. Like initially, I thought like Salah is not getting, because Rudiger was covering a lot of the pitch, but then as the game went on, you actually saw Alonso is doing like Rudiger had to help a little bit, but I guess every right-sided centre back has to. But Alonso was, he had Salah on lock.
Yeah, how dare you? The man you accused of having no legs, and then you only gave him credit for 120 minutes. What about his penalty in the minutes after 120 minutes?
I compensated that minute for the 1 minute where he was actually bad and gave away that free kick that led to the goal that had to be chalked off.
No agenda there. None.
But no, he was amazing. But well, you'll have to do something because like Chilwell's not coming back anytime.
Yeah, that's who you got. That's your man. He's solid. Yeah. Solid.
And Trevor Chalobah, by the way, before we finish. Shout out to Trevor Chalobah, who I think Tuchel's words were like, he was kind of astonished that he actually saw surgery happening in the dressing room after the game. So, and I still don't know how Keita didn't get red carded for either that or the triple slap he did on Mount's face.
Even though that was an accident, that should have been a red card. Which goes against what you normally say, I think, Neil, on a play like that.
No, I say like, but the follow through is part of the act too. Like you see, Chalobah's leg goes down, his keeps going up. So if you're playing the ball and your leg is up, I feel that's fine. It's a 50-50. But that he's not making any effort to lower his foot.
I mean, there's a part of challenging people when you're playing football and there's going to be somebody else there, and you can hurt someone, and that's when that's when Sadio Mane against Man City years ago, he did a play like that. It's like, he deserves to get out the game. Like, you knew the keeper was coming. There's no way the keeper was going to give you all of that to yourself. You're not.
I would say if you're severing dicks, it's probably a foul.
Thank you. Like if I just
No, but I didn't even know about the extent of his injury till today. Like I still felt it was a red card yesterday.
But
like,
as a man, if I'm a ref and I look at that replay,
yeah,
I'm like, you're out.
And they did look at that replay because they had VAR.
Yeah, I'm like, I think they got his dick.
I don't even think Kita got a card for it, so I don't know.
No, he didn't get anything.
He didn't get anything.
No.
I guess that's because VAR can only do red cards. They can't even say that. It's just a yellow. So.
Yeah.
Surprised Chalobah didn't just like hold his shorts open and go, "Ref, look at my dick."
Yeah.
He actually retweeted the video, Chalobah, on Twitter and saying that I had to get 6 stitches for this. I don't get it. The ref was right there.
Yeah.
So.
That's probably to his girl to be like, hey, if I can't not because I was with some other chicks. Like, look at this video. And this is why I just went home after the game and didn't want to party.
Like the report in the Mirror literally says Chalobah had to undergo penis surgery.
Damn. So, I'm hoping they're exaggerating.
Yeah.
I'm hoping those were thigh stitches.
But that's crazy though, because like in the game, I was thinking like he was getting a really rough time with Diaz. But as I said, like he kept keeping him inside. And if like most of those 120 minutes was after that tackle.
Listen,
then
after what Keita did, he ain't letting nobody else inside.
He took the penalty too, took the 10th penalty.
Mm-hmm.
And also the Lukaku goal, which I still feel it was just such a close offside. It was Chalobah's run and pass that led to that chance. So
I still think he had a good game. I mean, you just blame David Luiz for that. So how are you going to blame Chalobah for it too? I mean, it could be more than one person's fault, but
yeah.
I thought Chalobah had a really good game.
Yeah.
Like he did without even knowing about the dick thing, he did some man shit in that game.
Also, he was coming back from he was coming back from injury. He hadn't played in almost 2. So he just started training. Even Reece James, I think the plan was for him to play only 20 minutes. He ended up having to play, I think, 70 minutes.
Yeah, it felt like he's back.
Yeah, I think it can be better. He was like, I felt like a lot of times he had the ball in that space and he was holding himself back from, going for that cross, which he usually does.
Right. Well, I guess more playing time will do that.
Yeah.
All right. And any last words, fellas?
No, just why are Spurs so bad? Let's ask the question again and again and again.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not like we don't have that. It's not like we don't have that burner account to ask the question again and again. So that's what.
I think it's a rhetorical one. There is no answer. You just say it.
Yeah. It's hilarious. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for our producer, Aaron Brungardt, putting this together. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Neil. Martin couldn't make it this week. And yeah, man, keep listening. I went to LAFC game on Saturday. It was an opening game, and it was pretty dope. The stadium felt like it was back to its 2019 energy.
Oh, nice.
Cheering section went from the beginning of the game to the end. And Seth at LAFC hooked it up, and there was food, great seats. Because see, when you walk in the stadium, you could just stand where you walk in and watch the whole game. You have a complete view of the field. That's just how that stadium is built. So it's just dope to feel that energy back in that place. And Carlos Vela knew I was there and scored a hat trick. So that's cool too.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, thank everybody for listening. Keep on, telling people about it, reposting and responding on iTunes, and asking the questions when we tweet to ask if you got any questions. We appreciate it all. Thank you. Be safe. Be good to each other. You're around. And one.